मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
In the news tonight, 5 new cases of COVID-19. Fijians warned of 24-hour curfew. And FNPF assistance policy expanded.
From the studios of FBC Suva.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama was clearly frustrated today with the lack of adherence by some Fijians, breaching the curfew and blatantly disregarding isolation and quarantine measures. Bainimarama, while confirming 5 new COVID-19 cases, bringing Fiji's total now to 12, also made it clear that if the disregard to the government's measures continue, a total 24-hour lockdown would ensue. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
This level of lawlessness is irresponsible, un-Fijian, and just plain stupid.
The Prime Minister revealing an increased tally of Fiji's COVID-19 cases.
We had also entered the 11-year-old daughter into isolation because she had developed symptoms. Yesterday, she came down with a fever. She was tested and confirmed as positive for the virus this morning. In the Rotopa confined area, the 39-year-old sister of case number 5, the woman from our first patient's Zumba class, developed symptoms after she was already placed in quarantine within Natambua school.
The PM was scathing, given the public health risk that patient 9, a 55-year-old man from Lambasa, exposed others to.
3 days after the directive came into effect, this individual proceeded to ignore it by hopping from Nandi to Suva to Lambasa in the span of a week, potentially spreading COVID-19 via land, air and sea.
With an obvious laxity by some, the PM clear there would be national consequences.
But come next week, if we don't see our fever testing numbers go dramatically up, and we don't see the numbers of our curfew and quarantine violations go dramatically down, we will initiate 24-hour curfew.
Fijians are advised if they start experiencing any flu-like symptoms to contact your nearest fever clinic or call the COVID-19 helpline on 158. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Maggie Boyle joins us live now. Maggie, it's a significant increase in the number of confirmed cases, with these 5 coronavirus cases revealed tonight, the largest spike for Fiji. What measures are being taken with regards to containment now?
Jamie, let's look at the new cases, shall we? With a 39-year-old in Lautoka, we know that she is the sister of the 5th patient who was part of the Zumba class with patient 1. And she was, of course, diagnosed while in isolation. There is a 20-year-old out of Nandi that went into quarantine after she arrived from New Zealand. And she, of course, then diagnosed while in quarantine. So those containments and the risk of them having spread the virus to others is quite limited. Now let's go to the 11-year-old in Suva. Now she is the other confirmed case, and this has come through by patients 6 and 7 who are her parents. They were all in isolation, and that was confirmed. So again, the containment measures there in terms of the virus spreading have been limited. And then we go to, of course, the 55-year-old, which is a matter of concern that the Prime Minister has particularly mentioned. This is a person who was the person of interest yesterday, came through from overseas after a recent trip to India, coming through Singapore. He then arrived in Nandi. They traveled with his son and his daughter-in-law to Suva, and of course then he's gone off to Lambasa. Now he, of course, is in isolation in Lambasa. He is now, his status has been confirmed, along with that of his daughter-in-law and the grandson. Now the Ministry of Health has tonight revealed that the grandson and the daughter-in-law are going through a second round of tests. However, the 55-year-old man has been confirmed. He, of course, has been traced back to the contact tracing rather has found that he is the link to patients 6 and 7 that we confirmed earlier this week. Looking at his background and his travels within the week that he arrived, it's become very clear, the Prime Minister, of course, mentioning that in that span of that week, he traveled across 3 different areas and he did not adhere to the government regulations that are in place with regards to self-quarantine. That was only passed 3 days before he arrived, so he was well aware that these quarantine measures were in place. The Prime Minister was scathing today. These regulations are in place for a reason. It's about public health, the public health of all Fijians. There are, as you know, the amended stipulations for the Public Health Act, which has a penalty of $10,000 or 5 years imprisonment, or both, if you are found to be breaching these particular regulations. And that's certainly something that all of these people who've been found to clearly be blatantly disregarding the regulations would then be answerable to as well. The Prime Minister, I should also note and reiterate here, he mentioned the fact that there's been a blatant disregard of the curfews that are in place. As you know, the nationwide curfew began at 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. That was moved up, and there are lockdowns in Lautoka City and now, of course, in Suva City, and there's a cordoned off area in Suasoa in Lambasa, which is particular to where our other patient is, the 55-year-old man. Now, he has mentioned if there continues to be a blatant disregard of these regulations for public safety, for the public health of all Fijians, he will consider going to a 24-hour lockdown nationwide. Jamie.
Thank you, Maggie. Now, speaking of the nationwide curfew, over 120 people were arrested during the nationwide curfew overnight, a figure that has shocked the Fiji police force. Brigadier General Sitiveni Ngiliho says these numbers include leaders in society. Sainyani Mboila reports police have established 2 more checkpoints to monitor maritime movement.
A church reverend is amongst the 123 people arrested during the nationwide curfew from 8 p.m. last night to 5 a.m. today.
We are really shocked at the spike in those that have broken our curfew in the last 24 hours, that we jumped from 60 to over 120. And people that should be responsible and leaders in society involved in those cases.
Ngiliho has also revealed that some COVID-19 patients will be investigated as well.
Some of the cases we will have to take them to court at the end of the quarantine period and at the end of their treatment because they haven't been honest with us. To finish that, and there are some that are hospitalized with the virus that we will have to deal with, that have not made the right declaration and have not been honest in divulging the information about them.
Police are now using drone capabilities to monitor movement along waterways near lockdown areas. Those arrested from last night till this morning will be produced in a special court sittings all around Fiji. Sainyani Mboila, FBC News.
And we join Felipe Naikaso now live in Nandi. Felipe, what do the new cases mean for the Western Division?
Yes, Jamie, with 5 confirmed cases earlier today, 2 especially in Lautoka and Nandi, Fijians have been asked to take the COVID-19 pandemic seriously. The Prime Minister is calling on all Fijians to ensure that they practice basic proper hygiene, and also to ensure that if they are not needed to walk around or be around town, to stay at home and stay with their family members. Also, people are asked to visit their nearest health centers if they are experiencing any sort of symptoms like flu-like symptoms. For Nandi, I understand there is 2 fever clinics that have opened up. One is based at the Nandi Hospital, and the other is based at the Namaka Health Center. Also, with 123 people still breaking the curfew hours, police says that they will come down hard on people if they continue to do so. 123 is a big number for Fiji, and these people continue to break the curfew. Has also led the Prime Minister to call on people to ensure that they are at home before 8, and also they are still at home before 5 a.m. He has also mentioned that if this continues to be a trend, if people still break the curfew, they will have to install, or they will have to make sure that they put in place a 24-hour curfew. So the message is clear from the Prime Minister and the relevant authority, and that is to ensure that you are not breaking the curfew or loitering around town or around any area after 8. You also practice proper basic hygiene, and if you have any flu-like symptoms, to visit your nearest health center. Jamie.
Thank you, Felipe. Now, the health minister has expressed his disappointment with Fijians who continuously break self-quarantine, putting the nation at risk. Dr. Iferemi Wangainembete says these individuals are also endangering frontline workers such as health officials and the discipline forces. Kuroi Tandolala reports.
The health minister says Fijians should take extra precautionary measures as COVID-19 has been recorded in all important geographical locations around Fiji.
We got it in the west, we got it in the central division, we got it in the northern division. God forbid it hits the eastern. But as the Honorable Prime Minister said, somebody got on a fiber boat, on a fiberglass boat, and went out of it alone into an island. Please don't do those type of things.
Irresponsible behavior has been identified as the common factor in most of the locally transmitted cases of COVID-19. People who have returned from overseas have not isolated themselves nor practiced physical distancing.
We also had 2 rugby players returning from overseas who broke compulsory quarantine after coming back to Fiji. Like every other person disembarking from international flights, they were required to self-quarantine for 14 days, but they violated the directives and put their loved ones and all of Fiji at risk.
Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Chemesa Tundravu is urging Fijians within the Lautoka confined area to support the health team visiting villages and communities for contact tracing.
Don't hide details. A detail you withhold could be the difference between the success and failure of our efforts to contain the disease and stopping further spread.
The ministry is calling on members of the public to adhere to the advisories and help prevent any more cases of COVID-19. Kuroi Tandolala, FBC News.
Our North reporter Eleanor Turangeviu is live now from Lambasa. Eleanor, what can you tell us about Soso community, which is now under lockdown?
Well, Jamie, police were mobilized to Sosoa this afternoon, just straight after the Prime Minister's announcement of the 2 confirmed cases in Lambasa. Now, just a portion of the Sosoa area is under lockdown, as the Prime Minister has mentioned. Only 240 square kilometer area that's now under lockdown. Now, several police vehicles, a truckload of officers as well, with their roadblock gear and equipment. We followed them up to Sosoa, where they initiated the lockdown of the area. They have blocked the driveway to the patient's residence, as well as the driveway of each of the neighbors in the nearby homes who they allege might have been in touch or in contact with the 2 patients in the previous days. And this is just so to make the the work of the Ministry of Health officers much more easier in terms of contact tracing. And Jamie, if it's determined that the spread has gone beyond these boundaries where they have locked down, then the lockdown area will be expanded.
Now, Eleanor, sole proprietors such as taxi and minivan drivers, among others who have been affected by COVID-19, can also be assisted by the Fiji National Provident Fund. Economy Minister Aya Said Kiyum says the FNPF has allocated funds for this, ready to roll out on Thursday. Josiah Nanunga has more.
The expanded assistance is targeted at workers unable to travel to work due to the lockdown or other restrictions implemented by the government.
The lockdown areas, which now of course includes Suva and the Lautoka lockdown areas, which also of course include those people who aren't able to attend to work or go to work because of certain directives being given by government. For example, if you work in a nightclub, you work in a gym, etc.
FNPF Chief Executive Chawoche Koroi says sole proprietors, small business operators and others covered by this policy have to submit relevant forms.
They need to bring in the completed form and the copy of the permit from the owner and the authorization from the owner or certification from the owner that he is or she is the driver.
The FNPF is currently investigating employees who have not been forthcoming with contributions, which has hindered employees accessing the assistance. Jose Nunuga, FBC News.
Up ahead, spike in domestic violence cases in light of COVID-19 and agro-marketing teams to ensure adequate supply. Details after the break.
Ila natango aprosa ngarse ngor kraki do talebe on varong na Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
With isolation, lockdown and social distancing a necessary measure in the fight against COVID-19, the Fiji Women's Crisis Center have had to reinvent their operations. FWCC's coordinator Shamim Ali says with an expected spike in domestic violence cases in light of the global pandemic, they're calling on members of the community to work with them. Maggie Boyle reports.
With face-to-face counselling no longer an option for the crisis centre, they've had to think of alternative approaches.
One of the bad things is that we can't, there is no insurance for pandemics. So we can't, we have to be careful. The risk that staff are also running for, going out and doing face-to-face counselling. So we're working through that.
Ali says learning from other countries tackling gender-based violence is a key concern.
We are working with the leaders in those communities. We are using retired police officers that have attended our workshops and so on, and the women that we have trained. So we are trying to keep in touch with them and giving them, how shall I say, directions.
A sentiment shared by government.
Working closely with other government agencies, CSO partners and relevant stakeholders to ensure gender-responsive support to women.
The Domestic Violence Helpline, which is toll-free, is available on 1560 and the Child Helpline is 1325, both of which are operated 24/7. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
In an effort to ensure there is adequate supply of fresh fruits and vegetables for Fijians in the Suva lockdown area, teams from the Agro Marketing Authority has set up purchasing booths at all major checkpoints. Agriculture Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says the decision was made following the recent confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Central Division. Kritika Kumar reports.
Farmers from the interior Naitasiri, Navua and Namosi are now selling their produce to these Agro Marketing Authority officials as they cannot cross the border.
We assist to do direct transfer. We call it direct transfer. So they come to the border and they say that we have got a contract with this particular vendor. Can you transfer this? Because they can't. We are the only one who are allowed to transfer. So we transfer that to the particular vendor.
Dr. Reddy says they will ensure there is no shortage of vegetables and other produce.
Where we procure from suppliers from the 2N, and then we sell it to the vendor, and we tell the vendor that look, this is the price they're selling. Please don't impose too high of a price.
Once suppliers come to the border, they are instantly paid cash by the authorities.
So the farmers from the relevant areas, they need to come and see our teams at the three border areas. So we will purchase it at the border areas and we will provide them the cash there on site.
One supplier says it's easier to sell all her produce at the border.
We traveled from the highlands of Naitasiri and didn't know about the lockdown, but we are grateful that Agro Marketing is able to hop on board to purchase our farm produce.
The Agro Marketing Authority will distribute fresh produce to vendors and supermarkets in Suva immediately after purchasing it from suppliers. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
The Catholic and Methodist churches in Fiji will undertake televised church services until further notice to avoid mass gatherings as directed by the government. With Easter approaching and strict measures being implemented to combat the spread of COVID-19, both churches have decided to take this measure. Sainyani Mboila reports.
Family masses, church services and small get-together will not be practiced, despite the observing of the Holy Week next week.
I am instructing priests that they cannot celebrate Mass at homes or family masses. And this follows the Prime Minister's directives, which states that from tomorrow, social gatherings will be banned entirely everywhere in Fiji.
Methodist Church of Fiji President Reverend Dr. Epineri Bagandeoposa says this year's Holy Week celebrations will be different.
Our celebration this year will be different due to the COVID-19 crisis affecting our nation and the world today. We have already circulated a program in place for the Holy Week.
Reverend Dr. Bagandeoposa is urging everyone to follow the orders from relevant authorities.
I ask you all to respect all the observances and the restrictions laid down by the government for the betterment of all of us.
During the Holy Week, a week-long celebration is being observed by Christians, which begins from Palm Sunday and ends on Easter. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
The Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission has urged landlords against evicting Fijians during this COVID-19 crisis. The coronavirus has forced many companies to temporarily shut down, resulting in some Fijians not being able to earn their full income and thus unable to pay rent. FCCC CEO Joel Abraham says the government has worked with banks to provide homeowners relief on mortgages, and landlords should pass some relief on to their tenants. Abraham also urged tenants who are able to pay to do so and to talk to landlords and negotiate payment options. The Commission is currently looking at measures to protect both landlords and tenants during this crisis. Abraham has acknowledged landlords who have been understanding and provided relief to tenants during a time where empathy is very important. Ahead in sports, Fiji Sports Commission encourages more local coaches, and Tambakau Doro impressed with ranking. There's some more coming up.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lautoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
There won't be any more hiring of international coaches for the rest of the year. The Fiji Sports Commission Chair Peter Macy says they're now focusing on a 5-year plan to groom local coaches. Venina Rakautonga with the details.
The Fiji Sports Commission is working closely with various sporting federations to develop a pathway in grooming potential local coaches.
This was originally to be a 5-year plan, and we're now going into longer than that to see if we could train up local coaches through this. So that's what we're wanting to do. In the next budget round, which begins shortly with the Ministry of Economy, we get a baseline, so any requests have to go to, we will advise government on them, but we've been asked to, see if we can look after the contracts.
Fiji Volleyball President Linga Ngukisuva says they're hoping to get a new coach for beach volleyball soon.
We had also been allocated international funding for international coach, and which was supposed to kick in this year. So all these, like I said, we all have to wait until we get clearance. But those funding remains an allocation for Fiji Volleyball Federation, and once everything kicks in, we'll get those international expertise.
There are currently 5 international coaches, 2 from Fiji Rugby Union, 1 from Fiji Football, 1 from Rugby League, and 1 from Fiji Surfing. All sporting activities are on hold in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Pacific Games gold medalist Mbanube Tambakau Doro is pleased with his current international ranking. Tambakau Doro says he's trying his best to qualify by merit, but at the same time making sure that he adds to his total points. This shot put champion Mustafa Fall is not far behind in ranking and is also eyeing the Olympic universality spot. The Mbao Bullet says he is grateful to compete with another elite athlete for the lone spot.
For an event like shot put, we haven't had many shot putters come through for Fiji, and I'm just so proud of him and what he's done for Fiji and for the throwers here in Fiji, and he's really stepping up.
Occasional showers and a few thunderstorms were experienced over most places today. Looking to the west, mostly cloudy with light showers experienced. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, there were intervals of cloud and sunshine, while there's a chance of heavy showers later tonight. Up north, partial sunshine. There may be some showers in the evening. At sea, moderate east to northeast winds with moderate seas. Turning to the tides, the high tide is at 9:20 p.m. with low tide at 3:01 a.m. Sunrise will be at 6:17. For tomorrow, occasional showers over Kandavu and nearby smaller islands. Lau and Lomaiviti group the eastern parts and interior of other large islands. Isolated heavy falls are expected. Temperatures in all major centers will remain in the high 20s to low 30s tomorrow. Looking further on to Tuesday, rain is in the forecast. Recapping the main stories, 5 new cases of COVID-19, Fijians warned of 24-hour curfew, and the FNPF assistance policy expanded. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to assist the radio station Gold FM to our poll question. This week, we're asking, should business houses make social distancing compulsory for its customers? Visit our FBC website to answer. And you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page, FBC News, or you can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. And that's it from the news desk this evening. From the team and I, stay safe and good night.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.